Phoebe said she would be able to join us.
Do you have the quotes, Mike? Were the quotes not in our packages?
They were not.
No.
Sarah, I can share those if you want to give me permission.
Yes.
I think we had a total, what, 5 bidders, Mike?
10.
10?
Holy cow.
So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least the top 8 bidders. You'd be able to see on my screen.
Yep.
They not realize we were at, we couldn't go over $1 million.
What was that?
Some of them went over $1 million. We were supposed to stay right at that line.
Yeah, what we're supposed to do and we do are 2 different things, but we'll get into that.
1.3. Wow.
All right, I guess if you want to go ahead, that's,
Okay, got the meeting called to order. I guess public comment is the first thing. I know Jim McCloskey's here. You got some items, Jim, that you wanted to bring up, or? You still there, Jim?
Jim, can you hear us?
Lose him? Okay, Joe, did you have anything, public comment, or? I guess no public comment then. Okay. Farmers markets bids, as you can see, they ranged anywhere from about 900 and actually we'll go back to, it said 911 if we take the deduct. If we don't take the deduct, it's 921,700 up to 1,320,000, like 326. We've talked with Three Rivers back and forth quite extensively. Mainly because there was quite a range of materials for building. We were a little ambiguous on some of it. Some people had upcharges, wanted to use lamb beams. Some were using pine, which there was a debate whether it was kiln dried or not, was going to be problems in the future. What we built our last building out of and what we were kind of hoping for was to stay with Douglas fir because of the tensile strength. We can go to the span, the 20-foot span that we want, the versatility of it, the look, and that's kind of what Three Rivers is kind of committed to for us, is they stay with the Douglas fir. Then some of the things we're a little bit higher than we wanted to be, but you got to remember in November or whatever after the election, they changed the board. They kind of threw a number at us and said we had to stay at $1 million. We had to quick piece together plans, throw it against the wall and hope that, you know, we got the $1 million. After that, we had, I don't know, some of the topos didn't come in favorably, so we had to add probably $38,000 worth of sewer work and drainage, and we had to put some curb and gutter. We decided to add that cupola on the top of the roof for the aesthetic value. We went with windows there. We decided to do venting windows. What else did we change? I think the electrical kind of morphed up a little bit. And it all added to our costs, which I guess we just kind of ignored the elephant in the room when we were bidding, and we said, let's bid it and see where it comes in. And really, we're within 15% of where we wanted to be on the total project. So there's a couple ways you can look at it. The one way you can look at it is say, we got property included, we got engineering, architecture fees, the total project, the $1 million that we wanted, and it's probably going to cost us more like 25 cents on the dollar when it's all said and done, which for a grant is pretty good. A lot of our projects, sometimes they don't let us do property acquisitions, so that's out of our pocket. And a lot of them, we have to pay a lot of the engineering up front before we can even get into the project. So we might have 50, 60,000 in upfront costs. This project, we got to include everything, although there were some limitations on the property. We had to do a little higher match on part of it, and part of it we didn't. But if you look at the total cost of the project, really we're in, I think, less than 25 cents on the dollar. So do we start nickel and diming and taking features out? Or do we just say we have the money in our budget? That's what we have been saving for as a major project. But this is going to be, it's actually going to be a major asset to this town. It's going to be a very, very focal point of town. Do we cheapen it up, or do we leave the project as is? Get that bewildered look on your face there, Evan. Anybody got any input on this, or?
Evan, you're muted.
As you say, I can't hear you, Evan. You're still muted, Evan.
I
There
gotta
you go.
that. I guess the biggest thing is what's the difference between the lowest quote and the quality of construction we're going to get compared to the highest one?
It's not even, I think, that right now. It's to the point that even the lowest quote is going to be over what we had budgeted. We're going to get into our next item later on. We're going to get into the 2020, 2021 budget. I wrote in that if we built the full farmers market, and I think I even used 950,000, we just put what money we're going to get funded from the state into our revenue line for next year. And we added some other projects. I even had to add in if we hired a manager, we had to put that in our budget items, and we are still in pretty good shape. I mean, we have a pretty healthy fund equity right now, but we knew between this project and another project that we're going to discuss later here that we're going to probably chop our fund equity in about half. Three Rivers, I believe, Roe has worked with them in Mount Pleasant before on projects. They have done projects of major scale, so it's not an issue of whether they can do it or not. The next closest bidder, I think, is like $30,000 away anyways. So we're even further out.
Really a big difference in that situation. But when we're talking 400,000, that's a huge difference from the top to the bottom. But how does Mike Carpenter, how does that, their work longevity, how does it withstand the environments? And has there been any issues with the work that they've done in places?
Not to my knowledge. We have an engineer that does a lot of work with Consumers Energy, and they're pretty particular about who works for them and how that work is done. There's a lot of safety protocol, and Three Rivers has done a fair amount of that work. So we've got a pretty good regard from within Row of working with Three Rivers. And then I did ask for some references, which is what you should be seeing on my screen right now. This was a $20 million project in Midland, and it involves a bunch of it's called the longest ADA canopy walkway in the US. So there was a lot of timber type framing, unique type framing, that type of work. It's not, just the cut and dry type of project, similar to, like, for example, this health plaza. So this was a $20 million project. This is a $5 million project, a health park in Gladwin. Here's another, condos or looks like office or something in Midland for $4 million. And then there's another project here for a lot of millions. So, I asked them to give us something that was similar and basically a couple of bigger projects, just so that we can demonstrate they're not a house builder that all of a sudden wants to build a commercial structure. And they definitely are, are commercial builders. I don't have anything that I'm aware of, or any reason that I'm aware of to not recommend Three Rivers. Second bidder is William Bronner and Son out of Frankenmuth. And although I've not worked with them directly, personally, I know they've been around for a long time, and
they did that industrial park, correct?
Pardon me?
Are they part of the industrial park down there?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I know that there's one of those gentlemen. They built a new place there, and I don't know if that was his name or not. But I know one of them was Bronner that I used to run into here and there. So
yeah, but there's $47,000 difference between the bids, and I wouldn't have any justification to not use low bidder at this point.
yeah, I mean, it's not really that big of the scope of things, but when you see them working on $50 million projects and $5 million projects, this seems small compared to what they're accustomed to doing, but you got to take it.
Well, I know that some of the consumers energy projects they do are small. They might be $100,000, $200,000 type projects, all the way up to millions. But
now, was some of those in Midland? Did those end up getting hit by any of those unfortunate circumstances this past week, where they actually withstood some of that environment?
I'm not sure. We talked about the fact that their shop was high and dry. We didn't specifically talk about any of their projects, and I didn't have the list of references when we were talking about the flood in general. So I don't know to answer your question.
And that their work looks pretty good there. I mean, for that price point, I don't know what you're going to get from that to any of the other ones. That's going to be different.
You got an opinion at all, Thomas, on this, or
Don't let me take the whole show, guys. Come on.
Yeah. You can unmute, Tom. You can speak up.
This is Dick Ransford. I've been listening in. I'm on a phone and just recently joined.
Yep.
But looking over the papers, I thought, based upon what you were saying about our budget and that we still had extra money, and this is important that we do this today so that it can go on, because on Friday, all applications will be due by 5 p.m. So I'm in favor of what you've been discussing.
I am as well. Yeah, you got anything to throw in on this, or?
On the discussion, or who are you asking?
Nothing but
I was
that,
asking Matt if he had any, we're just kind of talking about the farmer's market project in general, about.
Yeah, yes, well, that's what I'm
Maybe something
talking
in the
about
budget.
too.
Yeah, yeah, you're in
Yeah.
favor. I just want to make sure.
No,
Well,
it's the
kinda hard to
farmer's
find.
market that I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
I just want to make sure everybody, is understanding what we're talking about, is on board, or are we missing something?
Yeah, Mike,
A
I
little
think
harder, we're
we've
not
got the
all in one
budget there
room,
if you
so
want
we're
to
looking at
spend
a
it.
couple Faces on the screen, so.
Yes, no, I've got the information written, and I know what the budgets are, and yes, I'm still in favor.
Okay. Anybody got any further discussion on this, or? Not, I'd entertain a motion to go ahead and present the low bidder to city council for approval. And there's some other details, which will just be, I think, some change orders that Mike and, and the architect will have to work out on our behalf, but I don't think there's anything. If Don had anything he wanted to add, or?
Nope. If that was the motion, I'll support it.
Well, I can't make a motion, so.
Oh,
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Dick will make the motion to go ahead and,
Dick motioned and Don supported.
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do a roll call. Bardwell,
Yes.
Downing's absent. Ferris,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Kuhn is absent. Phoebe, are you with us? Absent. Ozentowski,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Bauerschmidt,
Yes,
I'm done.
okay, move to our next agenda item. Our 2020-21 budget review. I took our budget. Sarah and I kind of sat down, and I don't know, they all got the budget right in the mail?
Yes,
Okay. As you can see, our revenue did come in a tad higher last year than we anticipated. It may go up 1% or 2% next year. We kind of rolled the farmer's market money from the state into next year because we're not, our fiscal year starts July 1st.
Right.
So we have 920,000 coming from them for next year.
I guess
One of the line items, I threw $30,000 in there. We don't know if we're hiring a part-time, or actually by the time we hire them, it's only gonna be half a year anyways. So we had to put a dollar amount. Hopefully, once they get hired in, that should be a self-supporting role anyways.
Well, there was a dollar figure on that, wasn't there,
I
for
threw-
a year?
Yeah, I threw 30,000 in there for
Yeah,
next
right.
year. But by the time we hire them, probably this winter, they'll only be like, we start over again in July. It'll probably be like a half year.
Yeah, unless he's plowing or whatever.
Well,
I don't know,
that's-
is that a year-round,
Well, that's another whole thing, is if we hire somebody, is it gonna be a part-time and then let them work it into a full-time when it develops more, or, is it gonna be part of another position? Those discussions we haven't even got into, but for budgetary numbers, I had to throw something in there. So even if we said it was full-time and we had, like, say they got hired in December and they went to June, it'd be like a little over 6 months. We got 30,000 in there right now.
well, the most important time is the people that know what they're doing and get knowledge and see that it gets done. After that, it's an operational issue.
Correct. Well, there's a lot of marketing stuff that has to be done in the fall. You have to get registered for the magazines and their
Yes.
journals and
Right.
stuff, almost like in the winter or whatever, and get geared up for next spring, next summer. God forbid that we can go to our normal year, you know, we're not locked down next year or whatever, so. Which we can't, you know, we can't plan that either. The only other line item is I think we put our contracted services, okay. We kind of changed the line item. She has a contracted service. We put the parking lot maintenance, which is like 30,000. We were doing light upgrades or whatever. So we threw 60,000 in the contracted services, which is just an ambiguous term. But that's kind of why that high number's there. Unallocated projects, right now, we just penciled in case we go with this. We'll discuss it here in the next line item. The light pole relocation, 80,000. And I had to throw in a number for the farmer's market. It looks like it's gonna be closer to 920, but I just, for budgetary, I threw in 950 for next year. And we would be spending out of our fund equity, I think, what, 126,000 was it then? Sarah?
Yeah. Yep.
So our fund equity would still be, we'd take it down, but we might be down only around to about $250,000 then, which is a little over 1 year's operating. And that's kind of why we bulked up the money, is for a major project or a major grant. And if we don't spend the money, legally, we have an obligation to return it to the taxing authorities, because, you know, it's not just a piggy bank for us to bank. So it is to be spent on projects for the, you know, the benefit of town and our DDA area.
Well, let's spend it all and ask Trump for help.
There you go.
There's no way that they pulled the plug on this right now, do they?
Trump or what?
No, this was already funded. That's why we had to hurry up.
Yeah,
and
right.
fund it like last year.
Yeah.
So that our money is already earmarked and set.
All right, because I know with everything going on, all of a sudden they decide to pull the plug on stuff. I mean, because they don't have the funds. And
No, they've even
who would-
been a little
Who
more
would they
lenient.
be?
Yeah, they've even been a little more lenient, because there was a thing that we were supposed to be done by the end of the year, but we said because of the late start and the COVID and everything else, they said, go ahead and start asking for an extension right now. We were waiting until after the bids before we did that, but basically we could still be probably substantially complete by the end of the year, which is, you know, what they really, I think, are shooting for anyways. So I don't know if this COVID actually helped us on our bidding cycle or hurt us, but I mean, we had quite a bit of action, more than I thought for it, so. And remember, this is just a budget, numbers that we're throwing out there. Will change, but I guess it's for you to review. I don't know if anybody's got any questions on the budget.
Yeah, the highlighting was fine as far as I was concerned, and looking at it, it seemed right. But you know, I'm it's been a while since I've reviewed any of these budget lists. So.
Yeah, there was one number that I found that was off, and I think it was where they put the labor somewhere, and it was higher, I think, for the employees, but we didn't spend any of it. That we had a special line item for our employees or something. Sarah and I looked at it, and like where we were $8,000 over, we were $8,000 under. So it was just according to the line item that they put it in was all.
This the other highlighted area was Tussey light poles. What is the story on that?
That is our next item of a business agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry to get ahead of you.
Yeah, as I said, so we'll discuss it, but we kind of, the budget, in case we did do it, we just threw it in there for unallocated projects. If we don't do it, then it doesn't, you know, we don't use it, so.
Well, he's downtown, and he certainly is rehabbing some buildings, so I presume.
We'll get into that in a minute. I guess right now, I just entertain a motion on the budget, that we accept the budget and recommend the council for our 2020, 2021 budget.
I make that motion.
And
I'll
the motion.
I'll
Who made
second it.
Who made the motion?
Don Paul, I believe, or was it Rick?
Rick, I think.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
Rick? Okay, Rick Ferris made the motion.
And Dick seconded?
And Dick
Okay, good.
Ransford seconded it.
Okay, Downing absent, Ferris,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Kuhn absent, Moore absent, Ozentowski? Ozentowski?
Evan,
Am I on mute again?
Ozentowski? Oh, now he's on mute.
No. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
now we can.
was that a
Roll call
yes?
vote on the budget.
Was a yes.
Okay.
Ransford,
Yes.
Bardwell,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, item 3, which
Somebody's important.
Dick kind of alluded to and got into, light pole relocation. This is behind the, used to be the old Loda's cupboard or whatever. It's the Caro Pharmacy. As you know, Tusky bought that building. I think even this
He
week.
bought what building?
Well, was it the McNair? Is that the McNair
Oh.
building? Yeah.
Yeah.
He bought it years ago.
Yes, okay, I thought, all right, never mind, go ahead.
But he's trying to do upgrades to it, and one is the elevator shaft where he wants to put it to use all the floors. There's a telephone pole, or there's a utility pole in the way, and he doesn't have adequate power to even upgrade anything in the building to put air conditioning, elevator, any of that type stuff, which, you know, is gonna be a problem in a lot of a town. For Edison to move one pole, they have to move like 8 poles. So it affects that whole block, which
Right,
really he shouldn't have to burden the whole cost of it. He kind of came up with a proposal. We've talked about it at our other meetings. He was trying to come up with $60,000 from match from the other businesses and people on his block and himself. If they wondered if the DDA would kick in 80,000, and then they want to go to the city and see if they would kick in 80,000, because it's about $240,000 to relocate everything and hook back up all the businesses back to the utility. He's putting roughly $750,000 into the building. He'll probably end up putting more. I know I think he just started, if not in the next couple of days, he said it's 170,000 just to put a new roof on it. So, I mean, it's a major undertaking. He's putting a lot of money in it, and I think we're fortunate that he wants to put that kind of money into the building and fix it up. And we will, I mean, in the long run, we'll probably recoup, you know, our money through, you know, tax, because we get to capture the tax, you know, when the values go up. It's probably not as fast as you think, because some of it is, you know, some of it adds value to the building, some of it just makes the building better. As Evan knows, there's certain things you do to your house that really just, they don't add value, but it makes it easier to sell. I guess it comes down to, you know, what people think about it. I mean, it is a chunk of money. It is an investment in our downtown, but I don't know. I was trying to see if anybody has an opinion on this.
I mean,
well, any mother will tell you that if mother wants it, that's what we have to do.
I kind of agree in that aspect. I mean, he's put a lot of his own money into our community. I mean, you know, and he's putting even more into it every year. He's established himself. He's not going anywhere. So
No,
if we
yeah,
can,
and he's hiring more people.
yeah, I mean, that 80,000 brings a couple jobs. Well, guess what? That's 80,000 going out, and that's people here. And yeah, it's going to be a big undertaking, and he went after it, and I give credit where credit's due. And I mean, I think, you know, that's a drop in the bucket for us. I know it's kind of a big portion, but if we can help out in any way, I'd be more than on board.
Did he say how many jobs he was gonna bring in with that?
He never got committal on that. I think we did a development agreement, but it was mainly on the dollar amount. I believe it was more of a $750,000. He's been kind of tight-lipped what he's actually putting in there. As you know, Jim works with his cards very close to his vest.
But when he does it,
But
He
when he
goes-
does it, it's usually first class all the way.
got it. So I mean, I think with what he's requesting or what we're coming up with numbers wise that you're talking is just a drop in the bucket compared to what he really can bring to the table too. So I mean,
Yeah,
and
we
that-
don't want to be an obstacle.
no.
No, it may involve a little more participation on our part and the city's part, because we may have to, some of the businesses that want to help might not have all the money up front, so we may have to do it in a tax assessment. Maybe
Yeah, with all this shutdown up and down the street, they're not getting any money in.
No, he's talked to them.
No, I'm talking to the people that are in those, are not in their stores because they can't
Right.
open.
No, but
And-
he has talked to the business owners, the building owners, and most, they're just about all of them are in favor of it that I know of.
Yeah,
I think some of it might not have the money all up front, if they gotta throw in $5,000 each or something. Like I said, we may be doing some sort of loan to them and doing it back in an assessment on their tax rolls, which we have done in the past with parking lot assessments. It's just gonna be a partial town assessment, which I think it's feasible, is it not, Matt?
The
Yeah,
polls,
it should be.
Yeah, I mean, you could draw a special assessment district for the places that would be benefiting from it.
We would have to have a public hearing.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'd have to go through the whole process, but you would draw the district to those who would pay back, and it would just include those who would be benefiting from it. So,
you guys are talking about the poles that's right up against the buildings through there, basically, aren't you?
Correct.
yes.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot, all of them.
Yeah, they take them from about Gamble's and they put them through that green belt and jump over. They even move one over by Thumb Meat, and then it brings them all out. And the transformers have to be in the green areas also. So then what they're going to do is take underground back to each building. They'll have to trench through all the alleys. They'll either bore or trench. And then you have to reestablish all the hookups to the buildings, all their service drops,
Yeah, because if I remember right, there's a couple of them that's like a foot or two right, almost against the building.
Yes.
which is not code anymore. There's no way.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same in my alley too. I mean, they're right there. The high power lines actually transverse over top the rooftops, which they're not supposed to. And
Well, what? Now, let's say we do move them. Is there any way down the road, 10, 20 years, that we see some more development going on back there where they're a hindrance again? Or is this going to be a one-time shot? I mean, obviously, the forefathers that started this little.
well, I mean, I can't predict that power loads won't triple or quadruple in the future, but I mean, I think right now, even if Starling or something wanted to change the three-phase air conditioning, they probably couldn't. But after this, they could. So it actually benefits every building in that block or those blocks.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I just don't want to see us handcuffed down the road where, I mean, like we're being handcuffed right now from past precedent. So
No, the only thing they may have to do is change their transformer box to a bigger one and maybe pull bigger wires, or something through the conduit, or they may have to retrench at that point. But you're talking one-on-one, it's not going to affect everybody then.
Well, I think Starling is using the upstairs for an apartment for their daughter.
Correct. Yeah, I know they're apartments, but yeah.
Mike, typically, and one thing you might want to consider, but typically when Edison does underground services, they usually run one extra conduit. You might want to make sure that they do that so that you can make future changes without tearing your parking lot back up.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't involved on the planning of it, so I haven't seen, but I can talk. But I know Lisa from DTE has been extensively involved. So,
The cost to lay an empty conduit next to the live conduit is peanuts.
right.
Boy, it would be nice if they would do it underground, because there's a lot of poles involved if they don't.
Oh, yeah. No, that's pretty much the way they only do it now, even residential now, when, they put a pole on the corner and you trench to it. And
Yeah.
they don't do it. Is anybody opposed
Do
to it?
we have any control over that? I mean, if as far as it's all going to be poles, or is it? Are we just
it's underground except
speculating?
for the high voltage goes through the green belt. That you couldn't afford to put underground, but all the service drops come back underground to the buildings.
Okay. All right.
So it'd just be the major poles out, in the middle of the parking lots through that green
Yes.
belt. And then they come down the pole with conduit. There'll be a transformer pedestal sitting in that green belt area, and then they trench over to the building.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good.
Anybody else have any questions, any input? If not, I would entertain a motion to recommend to council.
I haven't heard Mr. Bardwell yet, other than saying yes.
Well, that's because Mr. Ransford's been talking all the time.
Yeah, I know it, but come on, I want to hear a motion from Mr. Bardwell.
Well, right, then there is a motion so moved to approve the light pole relocation.
Well, then I'll certainly second that.
Okay. So we have an motion to recommend to council that we contribute $80,000 as our part of the match towards the light pole relocation program that Jim Tussey is putting together. I guess the ball would be in the city council's court then, whether they're going to match, and Tussey still has to come up with the $60,000 on their end. So I guess we just go to a roll call vote, then we have a second on that also, right, Sarah?
Yep, Tom motion, Dick second.
Okay.
Ferris,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Kuhn is absent, Moore is absent, Ozentowski,
Yeah.
Ransford,
Yes.
Bardwell,
Yes.
Downing is absent, Bauerschmidt.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. I think you just spent a record amount of money today. I think that parking lot behind the fitness center for $1 million or whatever was probably the most we spent. So, but a lot of good things happening in Caro. So I'd like to see the development.
Well, now that does now go on to the next block, doesn't it?
It's kind of 2 blocks anyways, because remember we closed that road.
Yes, that's
So it
true.
goes
That's
from some meet to Gambles, basically.
yes. Okay.
And Gamble put in all underground when they redid the apartments there. He did all his service meters and everything on the back of the building, redid them last year.
Okay. But well, that used to be a clothing store, and then the law offices, or now it's the guy that cooks right on the corner. What is that? Who is that on the corner, very corner, across from Gamble's, or across the street from Gamble's?
Pete O'Brien?
Oh,
Pete O'Brien.
Building? Yeah,
Yeah.
his building's included in that, yes.
Yes. Okay. Is he staying there?
Right now, he's staying there. I heard that the building is for sale. I think it'll make it a little more marketable when they get the power redone,
Yeah, right.
but nothing definite on it.
Yeah, right. Very good. That was my question, and
Okay.
you've answered it.
Other than that, our next agenda item is the Tuscola County EDC Match on Main grant. It's really, there isn't a match, there is a grant program for any business that's having troubles in these economic times. I think the grants are due like Friday. I don't know. Are you still on, Jim? We lost Jim? Okay. I think it was just kind of there for an FYI. Was it, Matt, or?
Yeah, pretty much. The EDC wanted them due today so we can review them because they're kind of working on behalf of the city, and then the city will actually apply for the grant. So I'll be meeting with Jim and Steve tomorrow morning at 11 to actually submit the application to the state.
You know, did they get enough applications or?
I don't know that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think we have to have 5 at least in order to apply.
Okay.
Well, some had dropped out because it was too long and so forth and so on. Is that not true?
This is a one that just came up like 2 weeks ago. There's a lot
okay.
of grants out there right now, but this
Okay.
one is just, if you didn't get money on the previous one, that they gave out, I think, $1,000 and $5,000 amounts. This one
Yes.
is, then, you know, you could apply again for this one. You know,
That's, I heard there's 10 applications right now.
10, okay. So they got what they need then.
Yeah, right. Very good.
Okay.
Nice to know.
You got Jake?
I don't think, we didn't have any old business, did we, Sarah?
Nope.
Other than that, anybody got anything else?
Only 4.
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. I do want to thank Mike Carpenter though for Row. I know, Mike, you put in a lot of time on this farmer's market and a couple other bids that we had going on, development things, and we're calling you all the time, night and day, but I appreciate you attending the meeting and helping us out, so,
That's what we're here for.
okay. You got anything else, Sarah, or
Nope.
you got anything, Matt? Nothing?
Move to adjourn. Bardwell.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Second.
Oh, Hall,
Yes.
Kuhn, absent, Moore, absent, Ozentowski, Ransford,
Yes.
Bardwell,
Yes.
Downing, absent, Ferris,
Yes.
Bowerschmidt.
Yes,
Have a good evening, guys.
thank you, Sarah.
You too.
Same to you.